Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. So today we are getting ready to do our first boil inside of my new maple evaporator. I've got it filled full of water right now. I'm just gonna do a test run with some water in it to make sure I get it nice and clean and sterilized, get any of the new oils or anything that might be on the new stainless steel, get all of that burnt off before I put in any of my good sap. So we're gonna give her a test run and see how it goes. We've been going about 15 minutes. We started out right at 60 degrees and we've passed 120, so we've gained over 60, about 70 degrees in the first 15 minutes. Well, we weren't getting any smoke inside, so I was pretty sure that we were getting a good draft, a good draw coming out of our chimney, but I went ahead and came back out here just to double check, and everything looks good. It's up and going pretty hot now, so we're not really getting much smoke anymore, but you can kind of see the heat coming out of it. Now we're almost 30 minutes in. We've hit 200 degrees. Don't know if you'll be able to see through all the steam, but it's starting to get pretty bubbly down in there. And you kind of see it there. "33 minutes basically, and we are to a good hearty boil. You can't really see it through all the steam, but the boil is basically going all the way across the pan. So that says to me that I've got real good, hot, even heat across the whole thing. I think putting the fire brick in there is really helping to distribute the heat across it and keep everything even. So now that I got it up to temperature, I'm just gonna go ahead and let it keep going for a little while, make sure everything gets good and sanitized. Like I said, if there's any oil or anything on it, make sure all of that stuff gets boiled off of there. And then I will start transferring my sap that I collected this week. I'll empty out the pre-warmer up top. I'll start transferring it into there. I'm gonna try to get a good accurate measure of how much of it I have, so then I can get a good ratio figured out for what my sugar content is between what I started with and what I end up with the finished syrup.
I'll send you a short clip. Okay, all right.
So now what I've done is I've filled my pre-warmer tray up here with sap. I still have water in down here. I'm draining the water off, draining it off into, this is my little finishing pot. So I'm using the already hot boiling water to help clean out my finishing pot. And then I won't quite take this evaporator pan all the way down to empty. I don't want it to be completely empty when I add the sap to it because I don't want anything to scorch. So I'm going to bring it down to, I don't know, maybe like a quarter inch left in the bottom of the evaporating pan, and then I'll start adding the sap to it, and I will finish bringing my raw sap from my bucket that I've collected, keep adding that to the pre-warmer, and just keep transferring from the pre-warmer to the main evaporator tray. Now as we're boiling, I come through with the little strainer, and we want to get the foam off the top of the boiling sap. That foam is all the minerals that the sap has pulled up out of the ground. And it can make your syrup not taste quite as good, you know. It can affect the sweetness of it, so just going through and scooping that off. You can kind of see the froth there. The sap's been going for about an hour. Starting to get a little bit of color. Starting to be able to smell a little bit of sweetness in the air. I've almost got everything out of the pre-warmer into the main evaporator. So we started with about 12.5 gallons. I would say that we're at least halfway through, so that's about 6-7 gallons in an hour. And that's without our booster fan on the bottom. And I haven't been, completely babysitting it, making sure the fire stays ripping hot. So pretty high rate output so far. Dumping off the last of what's in the pre-warmer into the main tray. And then I'll fill the pre-warmer, I'll put some water in it to make sure it's not gonna scorch, because there will be some residual sugars and stuff. So I'll put some water into it, start cleaning it, and mostly make sure it doesn't scorch. All right, now we're about 2.5 hours in, and we're getting down there. See, we've started to develop some color. The quality of the boil has changed. You can tell that it's getting thicker. It smells really good in here. So it's getting pretty close to my temperature. 219 degrees is where you officially become syrup. You go from sap to syrup. I was getting to about 217. So right now I'm going ahead and draining it off. I'm running it through just this little pre-filter here, just to make sure I get any of the big stuff out of it, catch a little bit of the sugar sand, and then we'll move over to the propane burner, and we'll bring it all the way up the rest of the way to the 219, and then we'll run it through our wool filter, and we'll have some maple syrup. So from the pre-warmer to the evaporating tray, now over here to the finishing pot, we went from just about 13 gallons to whatever it is we have in here, less than a gallon. And we'll get that brought up to that 219 degrees, and then we'll have syrup. I'll put it in a jar, and I'll be able to tell how much syrup I have, and then I can reverse engineer that and figure out what my sugar content was by using that ratio. Okay, we achieved our 219 degrees, which means we've officially reached syrup. So now I'm running it through this little wool filter down here. So you can see it's working its way nice and slow through this wool filter here. Down, I just got a big ball jar down there, gonna collect it all in that ball jar. I'll decant it into some smaller jars later. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video about me using my new maple syrup boiler as much as I enjoyed using my new maple syrup boiler. I'm super happy with it. Let's see, it has been about a little over 3.5 hours to get through 12 gallons of sap, 12.5, 13 gallons of sap. On my little makeshift evaporator last year, that would have been an all-day project. That probably would have been like 8 to 10 hours. So I've well more than cut my time in half. I'm super happy with it. I think this was a really great decision going ahead and upgrading to the bigger boiler, since I also upped my number of taps that I'm running this year. Well, if you have any questions about running the evaporator, about making maple syrup, about tapping maple trees, be sure to leave it down in the comments section below. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, guys, we'll see you.